Today, I'm going to be sharing on a slightly different topic on what I usually share about. I will be sharing on 3 books that helped me during my time of pain when I lost my baby boy nearly 2 years ago. Many of us go through pain and we will go through pain. And so I wanted to, share some of the things that have helped me when I lost my baby boy. It doesn't matter what kind of pain you've gone through. If you're looking for help, if you're looking for resources on books that can help you, then keep watching. Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Detola Amore. I'm excited to be back. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, I'm so excited that you're here. If you want to know more about my pain and my story and the process through my pain, then I have a podcast which I co-host with a friend, Stella, and it's called When Life Stops, a podcast on helping you find meaning after loss. For my YouTube friends, I have put the podcast, or I am putting the podcast on my YouTube channel. There are about 3 episodes up as at time of this recording. So if you look at the playlist called When Life Stops podcast or Grief podcast, you can listen more about that. Today, what I really want to concentrate on were the 3 books that helped me during my time of pain in the early days. Now, the interesting thing about me is that anytime I'm going through something, whatever it is, I always look for a book that has answers. I always reach out, I check Amazon to see, is there a book on this already? Has someone gone through this? Who has gone through this? What did they do? What was their process? I love processes. I love to hear about other people's processes and how they accomplished things or how they overcame whatever it is they were going through. So it was only natural for me to go looking into books when I lost my baby boy, because the pain was, so unbearable. And I just wanted to know others who had gone through traumatic experience and how they went through it. Now, the other interesting thing is that in this case, I didn't necessarily go looking for books on people or women or parents that had lost a baby. I'm not even quite sure why, but maybe because I was in so much pain, I didn't necessarily want to read another person's painful experience. I just needed books that were going to talk about the process and how to heal from the pain. And so the books I went for were more from a spiritual perspective, because one of the things that I felt got shattered first was my faith. And so from that perspective, I needed help in terms of how do I recover, and how do I boost up my faith even in through this traumatic experience. So quickly, I'll go through the books. If you've read them before, let me know in the chat box or in the comment box and your thoughts about the books. And if you haven't read them, I am certainly recommending all 3 books. Now, the first one is Vision from Heaven by Wendy Alec. Vision from Heaven by Wendy Alec. For those of you who know Wendy, she was I don't know if she still is, the co-founder of God TV, which a lot of people watch on Sky if you live in the UK. Now, Wendy wrote this book after a personal traumatic experience. She had been ill for a very long time. She had prayed. She didn't, over years, she didn't get healing. And it was, it was very traumatic for her. And during that time, or after that time, she had several supernatural encounters with God, where he was teaching her and telling her about trauma and the battle between good and bad, the supernatural battles that we're not aware of, with our physical senses. And I quite liked this book because it helped me to see pain from a spiritual perspective. It's not just pain on the surface, but what else is going on when you're going through pain. And it's a particularly comforting book for believers. It's one book I recommend, and especially if you're one who has been on a faith journey, and that was my story. I was on a faith journey with God for different things. And so when this happened, it kind of shattered my faith. And so I needed reassurance. I needed to know that I was still on the right track. And so I think with Wendy as well, she had, her own story. So for anyone who's gone through trauma, it doesn't really matter what kind of traumatic experience, I would definitely recommend this book because it helps you to see things from God's perspective, from the supernatural's perspective, and it brought me comfort. And I think it will bring you comfort too if you are going through or have gone through a traumatic experience that you haven't healed from. So I underlined so many things in this book that was just amazing. And I think one of the things that reassured me from this book was how sometimes other believers think, oh, because your child died, or because you're sick, or because you seem to be going through that thing for a long time, then you don't have enough faith. All of those things, those Christianese things we say that is not helpful, she kind of covered them, based on her discussions with God, and it really, really comforted me. Okay, so that's the first one. The second book I read was by Lysa TerKeurst, who wrote It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. I think she had just written the book around the same time I lost my baby. She was doing a book study on Facebook. I kind of stumbled on it, found it, and I quickly joined the group, got the book. And first of all, it was amazing hearing so many women's story on their grief, their trauma, and whatnot. Lysa wrote this book after she and her husband separated. I don't know if they got divorced, but I know they're back together, good news. But she wrote that book after that happened. And obviously the title was captivating. It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. And again, for me, when my son died, I was like, it's not supposed to be this way. My son is supposed to be here. My son is supposed to outlive me, right? This book was powerful. It's about finding strength after disappointment shatters you. And that was exactly how I felt. I felt like, broken dreams. I felt like I had broken dreams, broken expectations. My hope was shattered, all of those things. I found really encouraging because it talked a lot about the process of going through pain. And it's just a really practical book to read, no matter what type of trauma you've gone through, no matter what type of pain. Even in the group, there were lots of people coming, those who had lost maybe their marriage, they were separated, those who had lost a child or lost a husband, whatever it was. I think also having that community to just talk with other women was refreshing. But Lysa really, this was a powerful book. There was so many things that she shared about God's perspective on our pain, about how we need to go through and grow through pain. It was really powerful. So I would definitely recommend this, especially if you just don't want to run away from pain, or you don't just want to, pain is here, but actually learning the lessons and going through that painful experience, no matter what it is. So yes, It's Not Supposed to Be This Way is a book that I will recommend. And then the last book, now interestingly, this book, I read it before I lost my baby. And then I watched the movie a number of times after I lost my baby. And the first time I read this book, I was just wowed. I was totally wowed. And when I watched the movie, it gave me new perspective on my pain as well. It is the amazing book, The Shack by W.M. Paul Young. Now, if you go on Amazon, the reviews are controversial. Why? I do not know. But you know what? I read it. I loved it. Yes, there might be a few things that are like, but overall, I feel like the book just kind of captured God's love, what love really means, how even pain can, how do I explain it? Even from a place of pain, you can still learn about love and learn about faith. And the other thing I quite liked about this book was it kind of broke down a lot of religious concepts that I had already. A lot of things around religion, faith, forgiveness. It's just all encapsulating. You don't have to go through pain to read this book. I mean, the quick story about the man in the book, he lost his daughter. So again, this was about someone losing a child, but he lost his daughter in such a very traumatic way that he was like, how can God let this happen? And that is a question many of us ask when we go through painful situations. Why is God letting this happen? How could he let it happen? What did I do wrong? All of those things. But Mr. Young kind of broke it down again from a spiritual perspective and also practical perspective. It kind of just changed my thinking and my thoughts around God, around suffering, around pain. It's a really good one to watch. And if you're not into reading books, you can watch the movie. It's on Amazon Prime and also on Netflix, I believe. You can watch it. I've watched it over and over. And even the way God was portrayed in this book, and I think that was what shook a lot of people. Like, how can you portray God as a woman? No spoiler there, because it's a lot of people wrote it in the reviews like, oh, how can you portray God as a woman? But the truth is, God has feminine and masculine attributes. And for some people, he needs to show up as in his feminine self as opposed to in a masculine way. And the book kind of explains why God appeared to the man in the story as a woman. It is, I've bought this book for other people and they've enjoyed it. So yes, it's one I would recommend for you to read. So those are my 3 books. Again, it is Vision from Heaven, It's Not Supposed to Be This Way, and The Shack, Where Tragedy Confronts Eternity. You can get them on Amazon or any bookstores. Again, I'm sharing my perspective. As you need to, if you decide you want to read it, take whatever you can from it, take the truths that resonate with you from it and run with it. There are 3 books that definitely helped me, and I think they can help you as well. Again, if you want to know more about my journey through pain and grief, check out the playlists. I'll put up the link on pain, grief, when life stops, because that's literally what happens when you go through any kind of loss. So the podcast isn't just for people who have lost a baby or lost someone. It's for you if you've lost anything or experienced emotional pain. Okay, I believe you quite enjoy Stella and I's banter, and we try to share some educational stuff as well, or things that can bring value to you. So go check it out. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I aim to bring you content around birthing your dreams, around confidence, around productivity, and grief as well. And please share this please share this video with anyone who you know is going through a hard time and are looking for resources that can help them. Leave me a comment, and of course subscribe if you haven't. Till next time, God bless you. Bye-bye.